Come on in, find a comfortable spot. I want you to just imagine something with me for a second. Picture the banks of the ancient Sarayu River. You can almost smell the jasmine in the air, right? And the sacred smoke from the evening rituals. And way off in the distance, you see this city, a city of golden spires that just seem to touch the sky. That city is Ayodhya, the unconquerable city. Now, I know you've probably heard the story before, this epic of gods and kings, but today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to peel back the layers of what we think is myth and find the solid, unshakable history that's been waiting there all along. So let's just jump right in. What if this whole epic tale wasn't just a story? I mean, what if the alignment of the stars, the path of the rivers, even the very stones of an ancient bridge, what if every single word of it wasn't just written on old palm leaves, but was literally carved into the fabric of time itself? What if the proof wasn't buried under layers of dirt, but was shining right about our heads, written in the heavens, just waiting for us to figure out how to read it? And that's exactly where our journey is going to start, up there in the heavens. We're not beginning with faith alone. Nope. We're starting with cold, hard, cosmic facts. We're going to use a language that, well, it never lies. And that's the slow, perfect dance of the planets and the stars. This is a history written in starlight. Now, you've got to understand, this isn't just poetry. This is more like a celestial address, a cosmic timestamp. The great sage Valmiki didn't just say, hey, a great soul was born. No. He recorded the exact cosmic coordinates of that very moment. The sun in Aries, Saturn in Libra, Jupiter and the moon hanging out together in Cancer, Venus in Pisces, and Mars in Capricorn. To any astronomer, a lineup this specific is like a fingerprint. It's totally unique, it's incredibly rare, and the best part, it's verifiable. So what happens when you take this 7,000-year-old celestial fingerprint and you ask our super smart modern technology to find the match? Well, using some really sophisticated planetarium software, scientists can basically hit rewind on the sky. They can go back through the millennia, looking for that one single moment when all those planets lined up perfectly over Ayodhya. So the software scrolls back 1,000 years, 3,000, 5,000, and then, bam, it stops. It stops cold on one single day, January 10th, 5114 BCE, at 12:30 in the afternoon to be exact. The sky itself kept the appointment. 7,000 years ago, Lord Ram was born, not as a myth, but as a moment in history. And, that teaches us something pretty profound, doesn't it? Think about it. Empires turn to dust, libraries burn to ash, but the planets, in their silent, perfect orbits, they're the ultimate witnesses. They hold on to the truth of what happened down here, and they never, ever let it go. The sky remembers everything. So we have this incredible cosmic certainty, right? But now we're going to move from a truth written in the stars to a truth that's held deep in the human heart. Let's talk about the solar dynasty, the Suryavancha. This was a line of kings famous for one thing above all else, the absolute, unbreakable weight of their word, their dharma. And this wasn't just some rule they followed, it was the very soul of their kingdom. So picture this. It's the night before his coronation. Ram is 25 years old, the hero of Ayodhya, and everyone is celebrating. He gets called in to see his father, thinking he's about to receive the crown. But instead, he's stripped of it. He's told he's being exiled to the forest for 14 years. And just like that, he has to choose. On one hand, the kingdom, all the power, the comfort, the city he loved. And on the other, the promise. The one thing that defined his entire family line. His father's word. But let's be real, for Ram, was it even a choice? For him, a kingdom without honor was just a pile of rocks. In the Raghu dynasty, a king's word was the actual soul of the kingdom. A promise was worth more than any throne. So he touched his mother's feet, gently told her he couldn't stay, and just walked out of the palace. He chose the hardships of the forest over the emptiness of a broken vow. And that sacrifice, well, it would echo for thousands of years. All right, so let's fast forward a few years. That same unwavering path of Dharma has led him to the literal edge of the world. His beloved Sita has been kidnapped by the demon king Ravana, and standing in his way is the infinite, roaring ocean, this impossible barrier between him and his love. And it's right here, at the edge of the water, that we get to see an act of faith so incredibly powerful, it actually bent the laws of nature. For 3 whole days, Ram prays to the ocean god, Samudra Dev, asking for a way across. But he gets nothing but silence from the waves. Finally, his patience just runs out, and he picks up his divine bow, ready to command the sea to obey. And just then, the ocean god rises up from the depths. He says, "Look, my very nature is to be impassable, but I'll tell you a secret." He reveals that 2 builders in the army, Nala and Neel, have a divine gift. Anything they touch will defy gravity and float. And just like that, the work begins. Millions of hands start lifting stones, writing the holy name Ram on every single one, and placing them in the wild sea. And guess what? They float. A bridge made of pure faith, built all the way to Lanka in just 5 days. But there's this little story tucked away in here that I just love. So Ram is watching all these stones float, all because they have his name on them. And he gets a little curious, so he picks up a stone himself. With his own divine hands, the very hands of the one whose name was making everything float, he gently places it in the water. And it sank like a rock, straight to the bottom. They say a nearby Vanara started laughing and explained this incredible truth. He said, "Lord, the things you let go of, empowered by faith in your name, they can float. But the things you hold on to yourself, you carry them all the way to the bottom." In that one moment, the divine itself was humbled by the sheer power of devotion. And that bridge, today, satellite images show a 35-kilometer causeway right there under the waves. And guess what? Ocean studies date it to about 7,000 years ago, lining up perfectly, once again, with the history written in the stars. But real wisdom isn't only found in the light. To really get this story, we have to go into the shadows, right into the heart of the enemy's fortress. Because even there, in the court of the demon king Ravana, a little lamp of Dharma was burning bright, and the one holding it was his queen, Mandodari. Mandodari was this woman of incredible virtue, completely trapped in a world of darkness. I mean, she had the courage to speak truth to a tyrant. She begged her husband over and over again, "Just return Sita. This path you're on leads only to ruin. You're not fighting a man, you're fighting the entire cosmic order." Of course, he refused to listen. And yet, history doesn't remember her with shame. She's honored as one of the Panchakanyas, the 5 most ideal women in all the Indian epics, respected for her unwavering virtue. A true beacon of light, even when she was surrounded by shadows. But tucked inside this huge epic, there are these smaller, quieter stories. And sometimes, those little stories hold the key to the whole cosmic scale of the thing. I want to share one of those with you now. It's a lesson not just about Dharma, but about time itself, about infinite love, and about the really hard art of letting go. And it all starts with something tiny, a lost ring. So one day, Ram drops his ring, and it falls through a crack in the palace floor. He asks his devoted Hanuman to go get it. Hanuman, being Hanuman, shrinks himself down to the size of a beetle and goes into the darkness, deeper and deeper, until he ends up in Nagaloka, the realm of serpents. And there, the serpent king Vasuki shows him something that is just mind-blowing. It's a mountain, but it's not made of rock or dirt. It's a mountain made of countless golden rings, and every single one is an exact copy of the one Ram just lost. It's a mountain so huge you can't even see the top. Hanuman is just speechless. He asks, What is all this?" And Vasuki explains that time moves in these great big cycles called yugas. He says every single time the Treta Yuga comes to Earth, Lord Ram is born. He lives his life, he loves, he suffers, he wins, and then, when his purpose is done, he leaves the world. And every time he leaves, he lets his ring fall through that crack, and it joins the mountain. Hanuman, with his heart just sinking, looks at this infinite pile and asks the only question that matters. Then, when do I find my Ram's ring? And that's when Vasuki tells him the heartbreaking truth. You don't. This whole quest was a diversion. When you get back to the palace, Ram will be gone. You see, while Hanuman was down there searching, Ram had walked into the Saryu River for the very last time. The whole quest, it was just an act of love, to protect his greatest devotee from the pain of having to watch him go. And that story about Hanuman's love, it brings us to our final and maybe the most profound lesson in this whole epic. We've seen the power of Ram's arrows, the strength of his dharma. We know he's divine. But what if the greatest power in the universe wasn't actually held by God himself, but by the one who loves God with all their heart? This is a story about the ultimate power of devotion, all wrapped up in a single sacred name. There's this one tale where Lord Ram, because of his duty as king, is forced to punish another ruler. So he raises his divine bow and he fires his unstoppable arrows.
But the king, totally desperate, does the one thing that could possibly save him. He runs and takes refuge with Hanuman. And so the entire universe just hold its breath, watching as God's own power is aimed directly at his greatest devotee.
Now, Hanuman doesn't fight back. He doesn't pick up a weapon or even a shield. He just stands there, between the king and this coming storm of divine energy. He closes his eyes, and from the deepest part of his soul, he just starts to chant the only name that has ever mattered to him. Ram, Ram, Ram. And the arrows that could destroy entire galaxies. They just stop. They stop in midair. They shudder, their light fades, and they fall. They can't touch Hanuman, because his shield is made of the very name of the one who fired them.
And this, right here, this is the ultimate truth of the entire epic. The name of Ram is more powerful than Ram himself. So why is that? Well, because Ram, the person, is bound by his physical form, by his dharma, by his time on earth. But the name is infinite. It lives in the heart of every single devotee, in every single age. It's pure, selfless love. And that is a force so absolute that even God bows before it. So you see, we're not really at an end here. We're more at a turning of a page. Just like that wise old serpent king Vasuki told Hanuman, the rings on that mountain, they're endless. The great cycles of time are infinite. And if that's true, then this story isn't just a memory. It's not over. It is never over. Right now, somewhere in the great turning of the cosmos, Ram is still standing at the shore of the ocean, his heart aching with love for Sita. Hanuman is still flying across the sky. The name is still making every stone float. And somewhere, maybe in a home that looks a lot like yours, a grandmother is lighting a lamp, a child is pulling up close, and the words are beginning all over again. Won't you listen?